Hey guys, it's Kevin again, and this is going to be my review for the season finale of Once Upon a Time there were two parts, this was part 2, and this is episode 22, There's No Place Like Home. And, oh my god, this episode was probably 10 times better than the last episode. The last episode was great, but this episode was like 10 times better than it. And this whole finale as a whole was very, very good. I was very happy and very impressed with it. And there was a lot of really great stuff in this finale. By the way, I was ready to give up on Once Upon a Time next season, but they just pulled me back in because of that ending, which we have to talk about. But first, let's just get to the recap. So, the last episode basically begins where we see Emma. It's Portland 2001, and she and Neil are showing up for coffee. And I think this was just kind of to show, how they met up and everything. She said she thought they were going to have a drink in a bar, and he says to be patient that he has something better. He picks a padlock on a gate they're near, opens it, tells her to come on, and that it's worth it. She follows him in. He turns on the lights to a swing ride, and she admits it's pretty cool. He tells her to hop in, they both sit. It's kind of a cute scene here. Emma asks what Neil's story is, and he says that an interesting choice of words. He says he left a screwed-up situation, and it screwed him up. She says she understands crappy home life, and he says it was good sometimes. He says his dad changed and things got crazy, but before it wasn't that, it was nice. He says that's how you know you have a home, because when you leave it, you just miss it, and it's a feeling you can't shake. That scene is very important because the whole episode is all about home, sort of like what home really is. Not just home as like in the physical sense. What really is home? Like the people, everything in Emma's life. What is home to her? That's basically the big storyline of this episode. So Emma is then, we're now back in, the present / alternate past, where Emma's now thrown to a cell. A woman is there and asks if she's alright. She tells the girl she's Leia, Princess Leia, when she asks her name. She says she can't speak her name because her silence is the only thing keeping her family safe. Emma offers her some food, tells her she saw her in the village and wanted to help her. She asks why she's there. The girl says she knows where Snow White is hiding, but refuses to tell the queen. Emma asks how long she's there. She says the same as her. One more night, because tomorrow everyone in the cells will be executed. So that's obviously not good. So Snow White is walking through the forest. She's still a very big criminal and everything. She's nabbed in a trap. She's tied up and everything. And David goes up to her, basically comes out and says he told her he would catch her. She asks if that's the only way he can catch a woman, and he says it's to catch thieving scum. She says he's a real Prince Charming. She demands that he cut her down. He says he won't turn her in, but he doesn't have a thing. He says she's lying, but then Hook is there and says his princess has it, and he needs Charming's help to get it back. He asks where she is. He says the problem is she's in the Queen's castle. Snow says there's no problem because it used to be in her castle. She says if they let her down, she'll take them there, and one can have his princess, the other his ring, and she never has to see his charming face again. So Charming slashes the rope holding the trap, and she tumbles to the ground. Snow is tucked away in the back of a cart with Charming. They get bumped. Hook apologizes. Charming asks what's around her neck, snatches her necklace off, but she tells him to stop because it's a weapon. Dust from a dark fairy. She explains she's trying to get away from the evil queen. Charming asks what she did to incur her wrath, and she says Regina blames her for ruining her life. He asks if she did, and he says she did. And she says she did. So basically, in this alternate universe, Regina ruined her life because I thought that Snow killed Zelena. I thought that's what they were trying to say here, but that's not what's going on. It's just that Regina basically just ruined her life in this alternate universe. Regina has all the power. Hook says that they're there, and they need help getting past her guards. She tells them to wait while she goes to get help and trots into the woods. Hook asks Charming if he's excited about his upcoming wedding, and Charming admits he always thought he would marry for love, but this is a business transaction, a merger of two kingdoms, and this makes him wonder if there's such a thing as true love. So basically, they're having like a Game of Thrones wedding where they're basically forced to get married. So it definitely is interesting there. Basically, what he's saying is that he does not love Abigail, and we're clearly seeing that, they're meant to be together, Snow and David are meant to be together. So Hook says that he felt that way until he met Princess Leia and says he would go to the end of the world of time for her, but he's not sure she feels the same way, and says her parents may not approve him. I loved this scene because all season long, I have rooted for these two together. All season long, I've wanted Hook and Emma together, and finally we get to hear what Hook really thinks of her, and I thought that was fantastic. So, Red comes up and says Snow sent her to help them get into the castle. They ask how. She takes off her cloak and says they'll see. Emma holds the ring. The girl asks what it is. She tells her that it's her parents' wedding ring. She has to get it back to them. The girl says being separated from your parents is a terrible thing and that she knows. The girl says that she'll never see her parents again. She says they think she's dead and she will be soon enough, but Emma says maybe not. She gets an idea to work and works to pick the lock that holds the chain to their cell. She gets hers loose and the girl says for her to go and get out of there. So, Red's wolf side attacks the guards at the gate. This allows Hook and Charming to get in. Hook tosses Red's cloak back onto her and says he's glad she's on their side. Red says someone is coming and Emma and the girl come up. So, Red's helping them out, which I think is good. By the way, we haven't seen Ruby or Red in forever, so I thought it was interesting that she was reintroduced in this episode. Just was kind of like, here's Ruby. I just thought that was kind of, random, but okay. Hook is surprised and says he was coming to rescue her, but Emma says she rescued herself. Hook is upset that Emma freed someone that was supposed to be executed, but she says she had to. Emma hands Charming the ring and says they have to go and find Snow. Regina sits in her chamber contemplating a bright red apple, but Snow is there as well, staring at her from behind a column. So, Snow sneaks up behind Regina with a handful of fairy dust. Regina says she can't believe she was dumb enough to sneak back in and use fairy dust on her. Snow says it's dark fairy dust, and Regina says she doesn't have it in her to kill her. Snow throws the dust, but Regina magics it away and tells her that dark magic is her strong suit. She calls for her guards, tells her that she'll suffer like she did. Snow says she has no idea what Cora would do when she found out about Daniel, so Cora is still alive in this universe. So Cora, of course, is alive here, so Regina says the lesson Snow needs to learn is that all actions have consequences. Snow tells her she can kill her, but the kingdom will never be hers. Regina tells her guards that Snow will die tonight, and they take her away. So Snow is brought to a stake and tied up. Emma, Red, Charming, and Hook look down and see that she's been tied to a stake on a pyre, whatever. Emma says they have to get down there before it's too late, and David says it's too late. Hook holds her close as Regina shoots a fireball at a pyre, and it lights engulfing Snow into flames. Regina smiles, and a wolf howls, and Emma's crying at this point. She's really crying because she's realizing it's not working. And Hook tells her when his brother died, he kept reveling over it, and I was so happy they referenced his brother again, because even though that episode was probably just not one of my favorite episodes, I mean, that episode as a whole was just okay, I was very happy that he did reference it, because it was definitely, I thought that episode was pretty much a filler episode, but he did explain it here, and, you know, it is kind of important. So, he tells her they have to try and live it in the here, and she asks how she is still there if Snow died. She says since she's still alive, Snow must be too. A bug attacks Hook, and he swipes it away, lands on Emma and Charming, stops Hook from swatting it. He thinks that Snow used the dust to turn herself into a bug to save herself. Emma says she's saving someone. The fairy shows up and says Snow is calling for her. The blue fairy floats above them. Emma says Blue, then tells her name is Leia. Blue says that's not the truth, but she can keep her secrets. Blue turns her back into herself, and Emma is so overwhelmed that she hugs her mother, who is stunned because she has no clue who she is. I mean, that was a fantastic scene because, as we know, the blue fairy knows all your secrets. You have to tell the truth to the blue fairy. Basically, that's the whole thing with the blue fairy. So, Snow walks off with Red and Emma. Snow walks off with Red. Emma's hurt, but then Hook reminds her that they're back on track. Red takes off, and Snow looks at Charming. She comes over, tells him she owes him thanks for saving her. He says it seemed like the honorable thing to do. She offers to fill his canteen. He gives it to her and thanks her. Emma tells Hook they're warming up to each other, and he says they have another problem. He's worried about the girl she released. He says it could wreak untold consequences, and he says she doesn't belong here, and Emma says she can come back with them to the future. She says she wants to go back to her family, and Hook says that's not possible. She's not going with them and doesn't trust them. Emma comes up behind her, knocks her out with a rock, says she guesses they're kidnapping her. Hook tells her she's got a little pirate in her, and basically he just doesn't want to alter the future and make the future, like, terrible. They want to make the future the same. So, Charming comes over, misses all of this, but then realizes Snow stole the ring from him again. So he heads off after her, but Hook says this is okay because her mom saved her dad at the troll bridge. but Emma says she was only able to do that because of the fairy dust, which she already used. So they take off to help, and Snow is being held by the trolls. One finds the flyer and says they need to tell the queen she's still alive, but then Charming comes up and fights them off. Snow tells them to follow her, but then realizes the trolls have him. Her fairy dust is gone. The trolls are ready to kill him when Snow comes back holding out her hand, saying she has dark fairy dust and will turn them into bugs and stomp them. They tell her they want no trouble. She tells them to give her a reason to forget this ever happened, and they hand over some money and they back away. So Charming tells her that she saved him, and she says it was the honorable thing to do. He asks about the dust. She says it was sand and that trolls are not the smartest. So she says it was money, and they go. He gives her the money, and she gives him the ring. He says it's not her style, and she says there's only one way to find out, and pops it on her finger. So I definitely thought that was a big scene. So Emma's crying. Hook tells her not everyone gets to watch their parents fall in love. David says if she ever needs him, he'll know where to find him, and Snow says she almost believes him. Hook says they're hanging away from each other. Emma says that's the way it should be, because it took them a while to realize their feelings for one another. Hook says it must run in the family. Emma checks the book, and the story's back. She tells Hook they did it. So now, everything seems to be okay, because now, Snow and David are back together. Again, it really felt like Back to the Future, because, you know, kind of like the picture thing, with the picture fading away. In this case, the book is fading away. It felt a lot like Back to the Future. It really did. Regina shows a guard a bug and stomps it. She tells him that's what happens to trolls who fail her. She orders him to find Snow White so she can destroy her happiness if it's the last thing she does. And Emma and Hook come back to Rumpelstiltskin's and says her parents are back on track. He says he can't open the portal, and she asks what he's working on. He says it's a forgetting potion because he doesn't want to know about his past. Rumpel says that only ones who came through the portal can reopen it, and asks if either of them can do magic. He says he needs to put them safely away and magic them and the girl they kidnapped into his vault. So it's pretty big here, because it just is really intense here at this point. Hook pokes around, and Emma says there's no way out. Hook tells her that her powers should have been restored, and she should be able to open the portal. She asks if he thinks she's faking it, and he says she doesn't want to believe in her magic because he doesn't need it in New York. She tells him she's tired of running and really wants to go back and stay in Storybrooke. He asks what changed, and says it was watching her mother die. She says when she came back from me, and I love this scene, because as I said, this whole episode was about Emma trying to find her home, and what really called her home, you know, the people that she loved, and, basically she told him that when her mother came back as a bug, she saw no recognition in her eyes. She says that's what she's been doing to her mother for years, and she says that when Henry brought her to Storybrooke, it wasn't to break a curse, it was to bring her home. She says she now knows what Neil meant, and says that Storybrooke is her home. Hook tells her to look down, and the wand Rumple gave them is glowing. He says it looks like her magic is back and asks if they should go. So, because of her finally realizing where her home is and finally saying that Storybrooke is her home, now her magic is back. That's what got her powers back, and I thought that was fantastic. I just thought that was really, really great. That's what it took to get her powers back. I thought that was fantastic, in my opinion. That was definitely a really great scene, and I love that. I thought that was great. Definitely one of my favorite scenes in the entire episode, and one of my favorite scenes in the finale. So, then she holds up the wand, the portal opens, Hook picks up the girl, hops through before Emma can go. Rumble's there, demands to know what happens when he finds his son. She said that his son forgave him and loved him, and then died to save everyone. Rumble says he may be able to save him. Emma cries and says she loved him too, and she says his son died a hero, and that Rumble can't take that away from him. She tells him to drink the forgetting potion, he lets her go, and she dives into the portal, drinks the potion, then forgets immediately, asks himself what the hell he's doing here. Kind of funny, because he's like, what am I doing here? I thought that was kind of funny. Hook, Emma, and Mystery Girl fall out of the portal and into the barn. Emma tells him to fill the girl in so she doesn't freak out. He asks where she's going, and she says she has some people to see. And now they're back in Storybrooke, so everything seems to be okay now. She runs in the diner and hugs her parents. You know, she's so happy to see them. They tell her they are worried. She says she's home and they're staying. Henry's thrilled. She tells her parents that she missed them and that she loves them. And then she tells them the story. And they laugh that she's Princess Leia. They joke about her turn as a princess. And Emma asks about her brother's name. David says they've chosen to name him after a hero. And they named him Neil. And that just made me cry right there because they named him Prince Neil. And I just thought that was fantastic because it really does show that Neil was a hero. And I'm glad we did get that closure with Neil because even though we did kind of get that closure, we got even more closure in this finale. And I thought that was fantastic. Emma's very stunned and tearful. Everyone claps. Emma holds her brother's tiny hand and says, "It's so nice to meet you." So Emma finds Hook sitting outside and tells him that Rumble is right because she's in the book now. She asks if it's all back to normal. He says it must be because he doesn't remember their kiss. And he says he would because he knows how it is to kiss her. And he tells her she's a hero and she says he is too. And I was so excited for it because she thanks him for coming for her in New York. She asks how he did it and he says he took the Jolly Roger and outran the curse. He says all he needed was a magic bean. He admits that he traded his ship for it. She kisses him because he traded his ship for her. And finally, Emma and Hook are together. It took you through 2 seasons to do it, but you guys did it. And I thought that was fantastic because I have wanted Emma and Hook together since the beginning of this season. And now they're finally together, which I'm so happy about. There was so much chemistry from them in these 2 episodes. You knew they were going to get together. You knew. And then we get probably the sweetest scene in the episode, Golden Belle's wedding. Oh my god, Golden Belle's wedding was fantastic. Doc Hopper officiates and Belle's dad gives her away. She says her vows and says she's lost him to darkness, weakness, and finally to death. But now she knows she hasn't spent her life losing him, but finding him. Gold says that when they met, he was unloved and unloving and her enemy of love. By the way, while this is going on, we see all the other people, like all the other types of love. We see Emma with her parents. We see David and Mary Margaret. We see David, Mary Margaret, and the baby. We see Henry and Emma. I mean, it just is so touching here. He says his walls were up and she brought them down and brought him home and light into his life and chased the darkness away. Puts a ring on her finger. Says he doesn't know how she can see the man behind the monster and she says that monster is gone. She tells him she loves him, flaws and all, and says the best books sometimes have the dustiest jackets and the best teacups have a chip and they kiss. And I thought that was a fantastic scene. It was a great line right there. And then we, especially the best teacups have a chip, kind of like a reference to Beauty and the Beast, so yeah. So then we see Snow and David cuddling with their new son. Hook and Emma kiss and embrace sweetly. Robin and Regina walk happily, and she holds up his young son's hand. They walk up to Granny's, stop for a kiss, they come inside, and it seems like everything's okay until we find out who the mystery girl is at the counter. She sees Regina, starts to freak, but Emma tells her to calm down and says it's okay. Emma goes to Regina and says she bought someone from the past. She brings a girl over to meet Regina, and Robin steps up and embraces her. It turns out that girl is Marion. That was Marion. They have now prevented Marion's death, and Marion is now alive. So, Regina's not happy about this. He says he never thought he would see her again. Her son, Roland, hugs her. Regina is very floored, turns on him and says, "You did this. You are just like your mother, and you're never going to think of the consequences." Regina tells her she better hope to hell she didn't bring anything else back, and basically what I'm thinking is now that this has happened to her, Regina's going to be evil again. It seemed like everything was okay with Regina. Now that she has suffered a heartbreak, I think Regina is definitely going to be different next season. She's going to be back to her evil ways because she's heartbroken now. And, so yeah. But then the episode ends with, oh my god, I was so excited. We basically see that outside the barn, there's, this like, blue liquid that oozes out, fills the marks of the spell. A blue figure rises out of the muck and stands, and we see all this, like, ice and stuff. I'm like, oh my god, is this actually happening? And that's what I was saying. I'm like, oh my god, this is happening. We're gonna see Frozen. And guess who appears? It's the woman who casts an icy spell, walks out of the barn, and it's Elsa from Frozen. This put me right back in, and I cannot wait, because literally, you guys know, Frozen was it was one of my favorite movies of last year. It was probably my favorite movie of last year. I love Frozen so much, and I'm so excited they're doing Frozen next year, because this is the thing that's going to get them better ratings. I mean, they had good ratings this year, but this episode was amazing. I loved everything about this finale. I did like that I thought they were going to end up leaving this finale, like, just, like, unopened. Like, it was just going to end with everything happy. But no, not at all. And, now that Elsa's in town, do you think she'll be good or bad? I did see that they already have an actor's cast for Elsa. They already have a poster for Anna as well. They are going to introduce Anna and Elsa, so that's going to be fantastic next year. I can't wait for that, personally. I'm so excited to see Anna and Elsa next year. And again, as I said, I was ready to give up on the show. Bringing Anna and Elsa onto the show is just, it's going to make the show so much better. Because let me just say that this season was probably the weakest season of the show. It really was. Other than this episode and a couple other episodes this season, you know, this half of the season has been great, but this season overall has probably been the weakest season of the show. It just probably has. And the one thing I will say about the season that I loved this whole episode was that Emma finally found her home, and I cannot wait to see Emma and Hook dating. I mean, that's going to be fantastic to see. With Regina now in Heartbreak and everything, do you think she's going to be evil? I do think she's going to be evil now. I think that's probably what's happening to Regina. She's headed for her evil ways again. I'm looking forward to seeing that because now she's been heartbroken, and there's definitely going to be like a love triangle here. It's going to be interesting to see what happens there. I think that's pretty much it for everything I have to say about this season. Yeah, that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it. And also, Rumpelstiltskin and Belle, I'm very happy about their wedding. I'm really looking forward to seeing where their story is going to go. Let me know where you think their story goes after their wedding. Probably like to have a child or something. I don't really know. We'll have to see. But that's it for my review of the season finale, Once Upon a Time. Overall, again, best episode of the season by far. I loved everything about this episode. My only complaint is that I wish Zelena would have come back, but bringing Elsa back onto the show, bring Elsa on the show, oh my god, that I could not be happier at that. I freaked out when that happened. That's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in my next video, which will be for Turn. So, see you then. Bye.